Do you have any examples of things that are like so
guys,
out there that you're like, there's no way we can put a jacuzzi in the back of this thing?
I think you could.
You can.
Can you?
You can.
How would that
Sure.
work? Because the water will slosh out if you got to do things.
Tell them about the electric covers.
It does do that.
I totally want to get a jet with a jacuzzi now.
Sure.
Welcome to Own the Jet by Aspen Aero Group, where we share perspectives from some of the leading voices in private jet ownership and business aviation. I'm your host, Derek Savage, along with my co-host, Jason Spoor, president of Aspen Aero Group. Our guest today is Sarah Larranaga, an interior and exterior designer of private jets. Sarah works with brands, celebrities, and business leaders to transform their jets into unique expressions that are truly their own. Join us as we dive deep into the mechanics, mindset, and moments that define jet ownership. And together, we'll learn what it takes to own the jet. All right, great. Welcome, Sarah Larranaga, to Own the Jet. And Sarah, for the uninitiated, Sarah is both an interior designer and an engineer, which is an interesting kind of combination of things. And you work on customizing jets for people, right?
I do. Thank you for having me. It's a
Awesome.
pleasure to be here.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Thank you.
Wow, and you've done some big things. Like recently, you did a complete redesign.
So you're just going to come right out of the gate with that? Just right out of the gate?
Yeah. Complete I gotta hype her up.
Right? Good.
You did a.
No small talk.
No.
Cocktails,
Right.
just go.
Well, let me
Right.
say this. We'll get into the projects later.
Okay.
But you have done complete custom overhauls of jet aircraft for brands, for celebrities, for
Yes.
people that we would recognize if we heard.
100%.
Right? Okay, that's awesome. How does one get into that world?
Really by accident. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Was going to school to be an engineer. My father and all my uncles and family were building contractors, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to be an engineer. I'm going to be a building contractor. So after that, I started going to interior design school at SCAD in Savannah, Georgia, and that's Gulfstream's main hub is in Savannah.
Okay.
So
Are you from Savannah?
Originally, I was born there.
Okay, nice.
So when I was going to SCAD, I started working at Gulfstream as an intern and fell in love with aviation, and the rest was history. That's all I've done for the last 18, 19 years, and I love it.
What was your first project where somebody was like, yeah, have at it, customize my jet?
Well, like the first few projects, like a lot of us, as the intern, you're assisting, you're helping out, but I got like some really cool opportunities, like working on like Robert Kraft's airplane for the Patriots, and I was like, okay, this is fun.
Nice.
A little dip into the sports world, and
So you started off kind of like, I don't know, working with other people, helping them do the thing.
Yeah.
At what point were you like, this is my thing?
I spent a few years working on the manufacturing side, the Gulfstream side, the Bombardier side, just getting to know those products well, getting to know the engineering piece of it, getting to know the design piece of it, and the behind the scenes build, like what they're doing, like the full process from design ideation to the delivery of the plane and what that looks like on their side.
Okay.
And then after about, 3 to 4 years, I started then working on the customer side with brokers. So that way we're representing the clients and we're taking them to the facility. We're helping them find a facility, and then we're taking them there, and then we're representing them we're doing their design, we're communicating that to the completion center, and then we're following their build for the price, for quality control, schedule control, up until delivery, and then delivering it to our client. So I feel like it was such an important piece to be able to serve my clients better was to have the inside track, which was to have worked there and known the challenges that the facility faces, and also what things I need to look for with just like, hey, we got to be really mindful about this quality because this is something that sometimes gets overlooked, or something that could drag the schedule or could drag the cost, whatever that may be.
Well, and I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this from the perspective of like, you're not just going into somebody's house and picking out like drapes.
Right.
This has to be engineered. There are so many regulations, there's so many safety concerns, there's so many things where it's like, yeah, I realize you want a jukebox, but, we're
Right.
going to have to, figure out a way to bolt it down. Or,
Right.
you can't just rip out the seats and put a lazy boy in. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
There's
1,000%.
all kinds of things to consider. So, engineering-wise, how do you approach all of that?
Of course, safety first and foremost. And, that's the beautiful part about aviation. And also the tricky part is just that everything has, everything has to have its certification. Everything has to have its place. Everything has
Right.
you have to have taken all that into thought.
Yeah. So you work then with the manufacturer. So if it's something that's like he brought up a jukebox or something out of the norm,
Yeah.
then you're
Not that it
working with the
can't be done.
manufacturer, to try to figure out, hey, can we do this?
100%.
And if we can, what does that look like?
Yeah, for example, if I have a client that has a new Gulfstream that's gonna be built, or a
Right.
new Bombardier 7500 that's gonna be built, and we're sitting down in this design phase, and they're like, I want to have this custom, like you said, jukebox or
Yeah,
custom sound
whatever.
system,
Yeah.
or whatever it may be, something a little bit out of the norm or something special. We're taking that, drawing it up, working on that design wise, and then doing our due diligence, and then passing that over to the completion center and saying, hey, have you done this before? What would that look like to certify this? What would that look like cost wise, time wise, product wise? And sometimes it's a no, sometimes it's a let's see what we can do. But we're gonna run the gamut of whatever we can to make it possible. And sometimes it is a no, and that's really important because it means that they can't find a way to certify, they can't find a way to make it safe.
Yeah.
Or functional. You don't want to put something on the aircraft and all of a sudden you're having electrical issues or lighting issues because you integrated something that you shouldn't have. And that's so important. It's and sometimes you have to find a creative way to say, no, we can't do that, but this
Right.
is why. But here's an alternative
come up with
option.
this, though.
There's
Yeah.
some
It's
other
like, well, we
amazing.
can't have a shark in the saltwater fish
Yeah.
tank, but
You can have a shark look.
might be able to have some seahorses,
Exactly.
So what is the I guess the most
Well, I mean,
different
yeah.
thing?
Well, I guess
bizarre? I don't know.
before we go there, I kind of want to because OEMs and we've talked to people that do maintenance programs on jets and
Yeah.
et cetera.
Right.
A lot of them take it upon themselves to be like, oh, you want new upholstery? We got you. It's like
Right.
things like that, right? At what point do they need to come to you? At what point is it like?
I mean, if you ask me, I think they should come to me at every point. But
But I mean, there's got to be some stuff that's just not. It's like, oh, you just need cup holders. I'm not your
Right.
person.
And that's the thing is I would like to say that try to be a little bit niche with that, which is I really like to do everything from scratch. I really want to start. I really love a good old aircraft. Take it down to the bare bones and build
Yeah.
it back together, and
Awesome.
an unrecognizable project. So I love that, and I do think that a lot of the referrals I get are a client that did something like that, and then they're like, okay, you're buying the shoes aircraft. You've got to go to her because she's going to help you from the ideation, the planning of that, to the completion, and really get into all those details and think of everything. And sometimes there's clients it's like they're like, well, we're just looking to replace the carpet. Can we help them? Absolutely. But that might just be a quick piece. You want to service every client, whatever their need be. Their airplane, I have clients that they buy an aircraft and it's really in great condition, and so it's better of me to say, let me help you with that carpet, or let me help you with these, just recovering these seats, and let's revisit in a few years,
Yeah.
because we can do it all.
Right.
So I kind of try to take an approach like that. But if someone's buying a used aircraft from someone else, I'm like, call me immediately, so
Yeah.
we can just
Yeah.
get into it and make a plan.
So-
So
Yeah.
When
Yep,
you're
exactly.
approaching these projects too, are people looking at these and I'm like, is there a spectrum between get it back to brand new shape,
right.
and then another side of the spectrum, I'm imagining just full pimp my ride mode, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where on that spectrum do you usually operate?
Well, I mean, I would always love to operate in pimp my ride mode. That's the fun. That's
Right.
the fun
Yeah.
end of things. But it's really important because I love to work with not only clients and users, but I'm also working with a lot of brokers in the industry that they have aircraft that they've gotten a great deal on that they want to turn and sell fast.
Sure.
So, we're doing less, but I try to just always think, and I think that's where that engineering, rational side of my brain versus like we can really go here, we can go here. Just to think about, okay, this person, they want to spend this much. They need to make this, this, and this look better and or function better for the sell.
Right.
Let's do that. So you can't just be like, oh, here's this beautiful $80,000 carpet. This is going to be amazing. He's like, really? No. Like, you find a good solution for that person to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And you know that, like, whoever purchases that for them is still going to be in good shape with the choices that you made.
Yeah.
But then maybe then that client is like, okay, this is a good looking aircraft. Like, but what else can we do?
Right.
So
But I mean, if you
slide
get
over
too
there.
far in the whole like resale and I got to be worried about that, that's how you end up with like beige carpet,
It's-
right?
Right,
Like that's
right,
how
right,
that's
right.
how it ends up
And I don't-
boring.
Like, I hesitate to say this on a podcast, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I know resale to a lot of people is important, and I do value it, and clients ask about that a lot.
Sure.
And I give my honest opinion, or I say, like, okay, you want to put in Starlink, great resale value there.
Sure.
You want to change your carpet to orange? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But do you want that carpet to be orange? Will you love that? Will you get the most out of it? Are you going to have this aircraft for 5 years? If you are, the next person that buy it, they need to replace this carpet anyway.
Anyways, right.
So, like,
Get the orange.
do enjoy.
Yeah.
Get what you want. Like, if you, and there's people, they have different uses. Maybe it's a corporate use and they really want to tone everything down. But if there's something they really love and they want to go for it, I just try to give them the facts like, hey, are you going to have this for 5 years? Yeah. Will you love this carpet for 5 years? Will you love these seats for 5 years? If so, the next person honestly needs to replace that stuff. Nobody wants someone else's old seats, old
Yeah.
rug.
Yeah.
So-
What would be absolutely fascinating to me would be to have you just sit down with Derek for like a few minutes and ask him what he'd want in his airplane. It would be.
I was about to do that just now, actually.
It would
No.
be. It would be.
But no, I mean,
funk
let's
city.
try it out.
It
Well,
would be
what are some of the
crazy.
options? What are some
Crazy.
like if I want to if I'm like, you know what, I want when I get out, I want there to be a slide, or like I don't know what are some of the things that
Called an emergency evacuation.
Well-
or I don't know. Wait.
I was just
He
going to
blew
have
it
one
for
for
fun.
funsies, but
He just did it for fun.
Yeah.
He just uses that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, can we install a kegerator? Like, what are the options?
Yes, yes,
can we,
and yes.
What can we do? What are some of the things? Well, I guess if we're thinking about some of the things
Yeah.
you've done in the past, like, give me some examples of like, maybe what's the craziest thing you've installed, or what's
Right.
or what are some things that like come up pretty regularly that are just interesting things that you've done? Because I know people that have the kind of means to own their own jet and can get things the way they want.
They have ideas.
They have
Oh, man.
ideas,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
They
Yeah.
have ideas. They have
Right.
thoughts.
And maybe I have some of my own ideas and I want to design
Yeah.
a jet, but what are some things that people have come up
it's
with?
it's honestly, and that's what makes like every project fun and special is like depending on the client and like what is their use of the plane. Like sometimes they are doing like something really fun with it. Maybe it has a promotional value. Like I had the pleasure of doing an aircraft for Puma Sports, Puma Basketball, and at that time they were launching this whole amazing like basketball shoe line for the NBA. And they were going to have members of that team. They were going to be using the jet to take them around and, promotional value there.
Nice.
So we wanted to, needed to have like the fastest Wi-Fi, needed a backup plan, like you're thinking of all those things. They also wanted to have like, we're going to highlight some of these cool sneakers. Like, so we need a credenza with special lights. We're going to put the shoes there so that like when the players are on, you see this person's shoe, this person's shoe. So that kind of stuff is fun. Like when I hear someone say that, I'm like, oh, I'm into that. Like,
Yeah.
let's see what we can
Yeah.
do. Or if someone, and I feel like I've gotten really fortunate that I've had a lot of clients that were like very brand heavy and they had like strong branding that they wanted to carry out in the aircraft, and I've enjoyed doing that. When you have like the Rolex, the WWE, Puma, New Balance shoes, Nike, whatever it may be, like that's really fun to like dig into that because they have this established brand and you're like, how do I take that into the aircraft? That's, for me, that's fun.
Nice.
Not toning that down, like ramping that up.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so you have your custom shoe credenza. Like for Paris Hilton's aircraft, we had one of her custom eye masks fridge like made into the credenza. So when the passengers come on, they have her skincare line there. They can grab a cool eye mask out of the mini fridge and like
Oh, wow.
you know, she's treating them well in there. I want to fly on that plane.
Yeah,
So,
So-
like, that kind of stuff is so special and fun.
Yeah. Well, tell me, because you brought it up. So tell me about that project, right? So one of the things that has been going around on social media a little bit lately has been the recent project you did for Paris Hilton's plane. And I've seen it. It looks amazing. Can you tell me about it?
They have a wonderful family, a wonderful brand. I just loved digging and getting into my inner pink with that with that project. That was amazing. She was a wonderful client to work with, as was her husband.
What are some of the specific, outside of the credenza with the masts and things? What are some of the custom things that they wanted done?
So, you know, he bought this aircraft for her as a present, and they bought a used aircraft, and they're like, let's just gut it.
Yeah.
We're going to put all the
Take it.
latest and greatest systems, all the latest and greatest materials. We want this to be her brand, her everything that she embodies.
Yeah.
So, you know, even from the moment you get on, it's of course just the small customizations like custom floor mat, you're walking through the galley, every glass, her brand, hearts, pink, this, that.
Yeah.
There's a custom headliner with hummingbirds on it that Tapas Corporation did that's gorgeous, and that's going from the front to the back, and it's a gradient, so by the time you get to that lavatory, it's all pink clouds. So that's just these type of details that were so fun. Every seat belt has a custom Paris logo
Nice.
etched onto it. Even the backs of the seat has her custom Paris sparkle is embroidered in all of the seats, from the headrest to the bottom cushion to every cup insert has a different message on it inside that's related to her brand. All of the leather was dyed pink to her custom pink color that's patent to her.
Yeah, and I
Same
think that's the
on
thing that, when you
outside.
see it, that's one of the first things that stands out.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like I haven't seen a jet that had pink leather in
This
it.
color,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we did it in a tasteful way. It's like, you know, you don't walk on and it's these bright pink seats. And, you know, it's just like the small details, like gray seats with the pink piping. And then you go into the aft and there's like these beautiful divans, but they have these pink armrests. Like, I feel like, even though it was a small bit of pink, it was like done in a powerful way. And same as the carpet. The carpet has her custom pattern on it with the pink sparkles, and everything is just tailored to her.
Yeah.
And even when you open the drawers in the lavatory, there's a custom leather there, custom patterns. It's like you can't open up a cabinet or look at a surface in that plane that doesn't have something unique and custom to her there. And that's fun.
Where do
That
you
is.
start on projects like
Okay.
this? Like they'll come to you and they'll be like, "Here's our brand guidelines.
Yeah.
Can you? I mean, is
Sometimes,
that
yeah.
kind of what it
Use
is?
the guidelines.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
like you, especially if it is for a brand, you do
Sure.
need to know their guidelines, understand them. You know, obviously we all have our own logos. Even Aspen Aero, you have your logo.
Yep.
You don't want to
Yep.
compromise that. Like that's
Right.
really important to you. You don't want to. So it's just like, what are they comfortable with the play upon that, and how do we incorporate in the jet? So you know, you might start with a brand guideline, or you might have a client like Paris or Puma or whoever it may be, that they have a very strong brand presence and they already had it and you know it. All you have to do is one click on Google and like it's very apparent, like their strong brand. And she has a very strong brand. So you kind of take that and a million ideas come rushing to your head and you start
Right.
trying to pare
Well,
those
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Somebody
how much
like
of it
you,
is
does.
collaborative where you're working with them, and how much? I mean, what's the process like?
You know, I'd say it's both, depending on, you know, there's a client that they don't have time to work on that, or nor do they want to. They're saying, I hired you, you're the expert.
do it.
Give
Yeah.
me your ideas. I want to see what you think about it at first glance. And then a lot of times it's very collaborative because it's so important to them and they enjoy the involvement. And hers is that way. Like initially came up with some ideas and presented it. And so she was very involved with giving like a few like wishes and things that she liked or likes, didn't likes. And she has like a wonderful branding team that works for her, of course, on everything that she does.
Nice.
So
you got to work with her team,
and you
on
get
that.
to work with her team, and they're
Yeah.
all amazing and like creative geniuses. So that's
Cool.
that's nice. If every client had a team
Right,
like
a
that.
teams to help you, yeah.
Yeah. So it's in that case, it's a lot of collaboration with that.
A lot of
with that
collaboration,
team.
which is so important because you really want the product at the end to be everything they want it to be. And like these are the people, and they know her well, they know the brand, and you don't want to venture off from that. Like if that's really important, like you want to make sure that you have just
you don't-
amplified that brand.
Totally don't want to miss it.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. And I mean, I love it when you go into a space and it's very clear where you are, what brand it is. So I enjoy that.
What are some I don't know, I hesitate to say, what's the most insane thing you've installed in a plane? But I mean, like, do you have any examples of
The
things
world
like
famous question, right?
Right. Well, outside of, I mean, obviously people are going to want, their brand colors and their aesthetic applied to the plane. But are there other things that people are looking for?
There's definitely other things. I mean, I hope it's okay to tell this story, but I was young. I love that on the show. If it's okay,
you
it
can
is
say
okay.
it. Yeah.
So if and maybe I would be the same way. If you've purchased this aircraft, you've worked so hard for it your whole life, like you want to do what you want to do on the inside and the outside. So I've been doing this about 19 years. I was a little younger when this happened, but I had a client ask me for my very first stripper pole to be installed in a G450.
That's hilarious.
In the back. And my first thought, and they asked me, they didn't ask me in an email, they asked me in person in front of their whole entourage. And so, here's 12 to 15 or so guys just looking at you, all speaking another language.
Okay.
Here's the interpreter, and you're like, first thoughts, engineering-wise, structurally, how do we do that? What location? I was like, and what location were you going to have that? They're like, in the back, in the aft cabin. And I'm thinking, well, there's not going to be any room for any seats. Like, I was like, okay, so interpreter, like, hey, we'd have to, if you're really going to make use of this, we'd need to remove these seats. So then you're losing, 4 passengers, 6 passengers, depending on your
So it's funny, instead of just judging the fact that they wanted it, you're just like, how do we make that work?
How do we do this? How do we do this?
Right. It becomes
if
like
you
a
like it,
engineering
I love it.
problem.
Like, this is your dream, this is your plane. Like, you absolutely, you worked hard for that.
You've worked hard your whole life. If you want a stripper pole, we're going to get you a stripper.
I'm not here to judge. That's not my job.
Right.
There's a higher power for that. No judgment coming from me. You want a stripper pole. I'm going to figure out a way to make that work, but I have questions. Like,
so did you?
So I had questions. I said, like, you're going to lose these seats. Like, is that, this is, the passengers are important. There's a large group of people here. It seems like you're traveling with a lot of people. Like, where are they going to sit? So, like, you have to give them the facts.
Sure.
So I say to the interpreter, these are some of the things I just want them to be aware of, because if we move forward with this, it's going to be very expensive. It's going to be a lot of changes structurally. And then, granted, when you back to reselling, but like you go to resell and there's no seats back there. So, there's going to be some things I want them to be aware of. One thing is like logistically, will this be that much fun? They're going to, there's not that much room in the plane. Whatever the interpreter says, they think that the group thinks that I said, that I was suggesting that they get little people as strippers. I said, you know what? This has gone to Let's go on to the next.
So this was not.
We'll come back to this
So there's
later.
an interpreter involved. So like they're not even speaking English to you. They're speaking through an interpreter, and you're speaking back through that interpreter, and we're trying to figure it out.
So it's
I would love to have been in that room.
Oh my God. That would have been.
And I'm looking at the I'm red as a beet, like a bit embarrassed, room full of men talking about this. They're looking at me like, is she shocked? Is she not shocked? Does she hate this? Does she love it? And I'm looking at the interpreter like, are you really saying what I said? Because that doesn't feel like you said what I said.
Little people.
Like, here we are. What kind of a room is this? But, so that happened.
But did you do it? Did you make it happen?
Yes. We will always make it happen.
That's great. That's
but,
great.
Everything everything is like time and money. You figure it out.
It's a problem-solving thing, right? Like if you're approaching it from an engineering standpoint, it's not like, is this cool or should I do it or is it even ethical or whatever.
100%.
But it's just like from an engineering standpoint.
It's not for you to decide like what they should or shouldn't do. It's like, what do they want? Can you make it happen? And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be the designer. I want to be the problem solver. Like, and that's part of it. It's like, you don't want to just be like, I'm going to manage the quality, your budget, the schedule, the design, the delivery, even after the delivery, but like solve their problems. Like it's more than just picking out some materials. You have to be a problem solver.
Yeah.
Be the person they go to for everything related to that, and you solve the issue.
Have you ever-
want that? I'll figure it out. That's
Yeah.
my job to figure it out. It's not for you to stress about.
Have you
That's
ever
the part
had to
I love.
tell somebody no?
Definitely have had to tell someone no, but just in a more understanding and creative way. You say, okay, this we can't do, but
Compromise.
Yeah.
here's what we could do instead. Here's a solution. And I definitely, because I feel like when I have to, of course, then I become the middleman, which is here's the facility, here's the Standard Aero, the West Star, the Gulfstream, the Bombardier.
Yeah.
Here's the client, here's you. So you're telling them yes and or maybe, and then you're going over here and they want to say to you no, or
Yeah.
I don't like it. So I don't want to tell
Well,
them
do you have
that.
any
So
examples
I
of
say,
things that
"Hey,
are like so
guys,
out
like,
there that you're like, there's no way we can put a jacuzzi in the back of this thing?
I think
Well,
you could.
You can.
Can you?
can.
You can.
How would that
Sure.
work? Because the water will slosh out if you got to do things.
Tell them about the electric covers.
It does do that. It does.
I totally want to get a jet with a jacuzzi now.
Sure. Yeah. See,
You can
told
do
you.
it, but
Okay.
you know it's very heavy. The extra water tank you need is very heavy, and then that affects your range. So it's like you
Have people
can
done this?
You can.
Yeah.
They have done
People
it.
have done this.
And there's
Yeah.
even like we had like a BBJ that we put a steam shower in. So it's like you need extra water for that. So like you really yes is the answer, but here's like if I feel like you
You're
just
gonna
have
lose
to
something.
you have to tell your clients like the whole picture. Like
Sure.
we need additional water tanks for this. That's gonna change. That's the cost. That's the weight changes to this much. Therefore, if you're trying to go here to here, like that changes your range. So you're going to have to
right.
fuel more. Like knowing all these things, do you want to do it? If you do, oh, you want a massage table, you want to have a treadmill, you want, yes, yes, yes. But here's the compromises.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that we get into that. It's like, with like the football teams, the basketball teams, soccer, like, they're spending so much of their time traveling and it's such a toll on your body, we all know. So they might need those resources. They need the doctor on board. They need the treatment table, the massage table, because, their time is so valuable. You're going from this city to this city to this city. They're playing like back-to-back games. Sometimes it would be nice if they can, everything can be done on board the aircraft. It's like, there's just so much time wasted with
Right.
that.
If
but-
Totally
it's like
sense, yeah.
that's 3 hours they're in the air and they need to
Right.
do something.
yeah, and then
you
our
know.
job
with-
to figure out like the weights of things, like how can we make all of this furniture like really lightweight because we already have like full passengers, so we know, do they need to go to London, LA? What is the deal? Like how can we get creative with keeping their range where it's at, where the marketed range that it's at, and have we been thoughtful about what we do on the inside? And I try to like separate myself in that way without just, I don't want anyone to ever be like, oh, who designed this plane? It can't, the range is down because everything's so heavy, or there's
Right.
this, that, and the other. So I try to think about that stuff just as much as the aesthetic.
What projects are you most excited about that you can talk about? Are there anything coming up that you're just like, this is
I
going
have
to
some
be
exciting
pretty
stuff
awesome?
coming up that I'm excited about. Have a 6500 coming up for WWE wrestling. I'm excited about that.
Nice.
I love a chance to,
And I think
Yeah.
that's one we want to kind of help you with.
absolutely.
Be a part of.
The thought of doing everything black and red and like really masculine, especially on the tails of like this beautiful pink aircraft. Like
Right, you did a
it's
totally
fun
like
to-
feminine aircraft.
fun
Now it's
to-
a really
It's
masculine.
fun
Going to the
to
next
do
level.
that.
Yeah.
And they're such a great company, and I've worked with them for a while, and I love working with them. So that's a really fun one coming up, and we like to just think of all the details and inside, outside, and that's just such a piece because they're showmen. Like
Yeah. I
It's-
mean, are you
So-
and you're also doing, we talked a lot about the interiors. You're doing the exteriors too. Like you're doing,
Absolutely.
are you putting rims on these things? Like, what are you doing?
That's a good idea,
Just throwing it out there.
If we
right?
could just get someone to cooperate with that, we could really pimp out their ride.
I'm putting it out into the
keep
world.
spinning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do the exteriors as well. I love that part of it. I mean, I love to work on the whole process, just interior, exterior, even when it's down to like the maintenance. How do we make that more maintenance friendly? You don't want the client's director of maintenance on your tail, like, you with the metallic paint. So, you've got to keep everybody's part of the job, like thinking about that. What do our pilots need? Like, what requests do they have? And like, a lot of my clients are so great. Like, when we meet, they say, make sure you talk to our crew, like, and see what they need up front.
Right.
We just bought this used aircraft. Does it have all of the equipment they need? We want to make sure it's really safe for them. And like, there's always new stuff coming out and upgrades. And like, sometimes like the crew, they're so great, they don't want to ask. They're like, oh, this could be expensive, but this would really make. We do a lot of night landings. We're landing in Aspen. We're landing here. Like, they have things that they can advise the client on that. And I like to definitely always consider that, because it's better, like, when everybody is happy and everybody's working together. And
well, you do have to consider that. I mean, it's like the pilot may not like the disco ball. It's like whatever. It's like just stuff like that, where it's like anything that's distracting or anything that's like.
Well, yeah, we don't need him at the back with this report. Right. It's such an important job, and so we try to consider all of that stuff. Like, whatever we're specifying. So I love all of that. I love the exterior paint, love the inside, but love getting into the maintenance and love getting into the avionics and just following that process, and love watching everything be built and like monitoring like the quality of that, just because it's such a the craftsmen in our industry that work on this stuff, like, they're hand making these seat covers, like every detail, like it's not just Paris's embroidered headdress, like people are really doing all this stuff with their hands, and it's amazing. And so just watching the quality of that, like from the build and to the end, is, I think, the best part of the job.
Oh, nice.
If somebody wanted to work with you, right, and obviously you probably get referrals all over the place.
Sometimes.
But if somebody's like watching this and like, you know what, I need to get my own custom, I don't know, golf simulator on a plane or whatever it is, whatever it is they're trying to do, right?
We've been thinking about a golf simulator situation.
Let's do it. I'm here all day. I'll just come up with crazy ideas, and we can just see if somebody latches on.
Like a situation in like a 7500 where they have that beautiful bedroom in the back, and like it's a very spacious area. Now there could be some compromises there, but just trying to think of a scenario where at some point you could have your golf simulator on the bulkhead. Like, there's some things to be worked out.
You may not be able to drive, but maybe the putt.
Putting green, absolutely.
We can do the things.
Because a lot of clients are on their plane so much, they're doing a level of exercising, or whatever they like to do on there. And so it's really fun to think of like more creative ways that they can, instead of just doing a little yoga, like what else could they do?
Right.
Could we get that golf simulator on?
Yep.
But if somebody did want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that, to get the conversation started?
I think the best way is just email, phone call, social media. Sadly, I have to check them all the time. And but yeah, like client referrals, it's the best part of the business, doing a good job for each client, so they want to refer you to the next person. But
nice.
Yeah.
And we'll have something to put in the description of the video in terms of the best way, or your preferred way of them reaching out. I don't want to put all of your stuff out there for everyone, because it's YouTube and who knows, right?
Exactly.
Anything before we wrap things up, though? Is there anything else that maybe I didn't ask you that you want to mention or you want to talk about in terms of people that are just thinking about owning the jet, right? And what their options are, and how they should approach just the ability to do whatever they want, right?
Right. I mean, I would encourage every client, like, reach out. You're thinking about buying a jet. You need some advice about what would be the right one for your family, for your business, for your fit, for your for the range that you need, etc. Reach out so we can start planning. Because it's so important to find the right facility to do the work. If it's a used aircraft or a new aircraft, there's a lot of great facilities out there: West Star, Standard Aero, Duncan. And so getting ahead, like, pre-planning the design, the paint slot, the maintenance slot, all of these things that go into it, and just not waiting till the last minute, and like, we help with all of it. So I think that's it, is like, and you're not hesitating about to do what you want and thinking it might not be possible, or you saw this 7X that you were really interested in, but you don't like the color of the seats or the walls. It's like, well, that's nothing. Like, let's get into that. You're going to have maintenance and stuff you have to do anyway.
So to me, it's, somebody goes and looks at an airplane and, well, I just really don't like the seat colors.
Right.
So no, I'm going to pass on that one. It's like,
Yeah.
That's an easy change. That's
Right,
an easy fix.
right.
That's
Yeah.
We know someone that can help them on that.
We know someone. We know someone.
I think that might happen a lot, and I hate that because some of this stuff is such an easy change,
Right.
especially in the grand scheme of things of what they're doing, and especially when you're looking at the used aircraft market. Because a lot of the people, like, you see an aircraft, it might not be your taste, but
Right.
that person went for it and they did what they wanted to do and they enjoyed that plane, and their crew has, like, it's meticulously maintained. It's like, that's due for new seats and carpet and new paint job. Like, we encourage people to, like, paint your plane every 7 years so you don't have to worry about corrosion and like these type of things. So it's like people maybe worry too much about what the current aesthetic is, and it's like, no, don't worry about it. Does it have good equipment? Has it been well maintained? Like, because we want to do something special for the inside anyway.
Yeah,
Sure, for sure.
I love it. Sarah, thank you so much for being
Thanks
on
for
the show.
having me. It was a pleasure.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this next project turns out.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I can't wait to share it.
Thank you for watching Own the Jet. If you want to see more Own the Jet, make sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and leave a comment telling us what aspect of jet ownership you'd like to know more about. Own the Jet is brought to you by Aspen Aero Group, your trusted partner in private and corporate jet ownership. Learn more at aspenaerogroup.com. This has been a Savage Media production.